What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Jump College Basketball Preview, because the season is officially here. We are now a few days away from the season starting. It starts this upcoming Monday, November 3rd. The road begins. So there's a lot to look forward to and some kind of storylines and notes to look at heading into the season that are going to be interesting to monitor. So I have a lot of those. I'll power rank each of the Power 5 conferences. I'll talk about the players of the years, and then I'll talk national picture on who I think will win the national championship, who I think will be the player of the year when it's all said and done, the coach of the year, all the good stuff. But we'll start out with some storylines and some things to look for going into the 2025-2026 college basketball season. Number one, for me, these are not in any particular order, but this one is number one because this feels like this is kind of the thing going into each season, where in college football, is Ohio State going to repeat? Now, in college basketball, can Florida repeat? They return their entire front court, but for Todd Golden, he climbs the mountaintop very, very quickly. Coming from San Francisco, he wins the national championship at Florida after a couple years there. Now he has to coach where his team has the target on their back. I think a lot of the country, seeing Walter Clayton, seeing Will Richard, Elijah Martin, seeing that fun group last year, people were drawing themselves to where they could cheer for them. I was part of that. I was like, this is absolutely a blast. Like, they are making comebacks, hitting late clutch shots. This team is a blast. But now they're the ones with the target on their back. They win their program's third national title. How will Todd Golden and this Florida team respond? This front court, a lot of them have heavy ring fingers now because they were on the championship team last year. They come back and they bring in a transfer backcourt that's going to be exceptional. Xavier Lee from Princeton, Boogie Fland from Arkansas, and then fill in pieces around there. Good recruits coming in, good transfers. This team is going to be absolutely stacked, and we'll see how they can handle it. They have the target on their back. Like I said, we'll see what Florida can do going into this season. Another one, Big Ten has not won a national title since 2000. It's not even just that they, haven't made it. They've made it. Michigan lost in 2018. There's been some good teams. Purdue lost a couple years ago. Can they finally get over the top, though? Will the Big Ten finally win a championship for the first time in, it will be 26 years? Purdue and Michigan are the ones that I would feel the most confident in. That gives you a little hint to where I would preseason power rank those teams. But other than them, I think Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, UCLA, Michigan State, these teams have good shots at making a run, and I think there will be a lot of Big Ten teams in the tournament. So there's going to be plenty out there to give the Big Ten an opportunity to be able to pounce on that. Like, they will be, how the SEC was last year. There's a lot of teams in the tournament. They want to end up playing each other. Hopefully with the large number of teams that the Big Ten puts in, maybe they can make some runs. And like I said, Purdue and Michigan are the ones that I feel the most comfortable in right now, saying that they could maybe be the ones to end this long streak for the conference. But that's going to be something to watch this year. The biggest key point, in my opinion, out of this entire season, this freshman class is absolutely elite. Last year, Cooper Flagg was generational. Not denying that. Even the freshmen around him were solid, but it's not quite this class. And we knew this going into the offseason, going into even last year's high school basketball season. Like, these guys going into their senior year of high school, we were like, these guys are different. Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, and A.J. DeBonsa highlight the class. But outside of them, Michael Brown, Koa Pete, Tunde Yusufu, Nate Ament, Darius Acuff, Caleb Wilson, Chris Senack, the list goes on. All of those guys are program-changing guys at big schools, and they'll have the opportunity to all chase that number one pick. I think it will be one of those three that I highlighted, Peterson, Boozer, DeBonsa. But this year, it feels like if you're an NBA team and you may not have a great shot at being an elite team that can make a playoff run, go ahead and tank. Because this class is worth it. It's not even that you have to have the number one pick. You could have the sixth pick and end up being, a franchise-changing draft pick in that spot. So this freshman class is unbelievable, and I am excited to see what they can do. We've already seen it in a couple exhibitions, what these guys can do. That didn't even name all the guys either. I just rambled on, but the question will be who goes number one out of this class, and that's what I'm excited to see. As of right now, I'd say maybe Boozer has an early lead, but it also, depends on what team has that pick, what they need, what type of player they're going to need. So it's going to be an exciting year just following the freshmen alone because of the talent that they have. They've been exceptional so far, and I'm excited to see that. Braden Smith, Purdue legend already, What will he be able to do this year? He has one historic thing that he can chase, though. He is chasing the all-time assist record in college basketball. He's sitting at 758 in 3 seasons. He had 313 last year. If he does that again, that would put him exactly 5 assists away from the record, which is currently held by Bobby Hurley, 1,076. Bobby Hurley played 140 games. Smith has played 110. Now, if he just does the same thing, then you're looking at 36 games. Got him 313 last year. If they go to the Final Four, he's going to be right there, right at the edge of history. And they're playing the Final Four in their home state, where they have a phenomenal record playing teams in Indiana. If they can make it there, you got to feel good about him getting that assist record and the Boilermakers potentially making it to the national championship and having a chance to win that. I wrote an article last year. I also posted about it a little bit. The rare win-win-win of last year's coaching cycle. It all started with Andy Enfield leaving USC. Musk goes to USC. Cal goes to Arkansas. Kevin Young at BYU. Mark Pope, Kentucky. All of those crazy things happened, but it was a win-win-win for BYU, Arkansas, and Kentucky. All 3 of those teams make the Sweet 16 in year 1. Under those coaches, what does year 2 look like? What team will take the biggest leap? All 3 of these rosters are exponentially better than they were last year. For Cal, you have those elite guards that he always has. Billy Richmond looks to take a leap. He has year 3 DJ Wagner. Carter Knox is going to be phenomenal in year 2. He has a good front court. That team is loaded. He has a Calipari team for him. Mark Pope, most expensive roster in the sport. Rumored to be around $22 million. Whatever it may be, he has a Noah's Ark roster where he has 2 of everything. That team is absolutely stacked. Kevin Young gets the number 1 player, depending on the ranking you look at, number 1 player in the country out of high school, gets one of the best transfer point guards in the country in Rob Wright, brings back Richie Saunders, who will make a push at the Big 12 Player of the Year, brings back Kevin Keita, brings over Davis, brings some more freshmen in, brings in tons of talent all around him. All 3 of those rosters are phenomenal and much better than they were the year before. We'll get to see what team takes the biggest leap. And what was already a win-win-win situation, which one will maybe separate themselves going forward. Historically great Auburn team last year. They nearly broke KenPom at times, it felt like. They're still one of the all-time teams as they lose in the Final Four to Florida, end up dropping it to the champion. But now, following that, what would Auburn do? That was already a question. What would they do following that team up where they lose all these guys? Baker Mazara transfers. Broom's gone. Everybody's gone from that team, it feels like, except for a couple of key pieces. What will they do following that year? And then their coach retires. Bruce Pearl's out. Stephen Pearl is in. What will it look like for Stephen Pearl? Some believe it will be an absolute mess. Some think it'll just flow right over because he has been and kind of groomed for this job. That's going to be a key factor because the SEC is not going to be as good as it was last year. It's not getting 14 teams in, I don't believe. What will he be able to do against a lesser SEC where his dad coached one of the best teams that we've ever seen in the best conference that we've ever seen? Excited to see what Stephen Pearl can do. We've seen a ton of recent coaches retire. Some of the older guys, even some younger like Tony Bennett. But Coach K, Jim Larinaga, Jay Wright, Roy Williams, and many others have recently retired. We've seen that wave go. It feels like we're towards the end of the road for this next era. Bill Self, Tom Izzo, John Calipari, Rick Pitino, Kelvin Sampson, Rick Barnes, and others in this sport. How will the end of their careers look? We're seeing this wave of young coaches come in. I mean, last year, Todd Golden, very young, up-and-coming coach. He's already up, but those guys are coming in. This wave of guys are going out. What will the end of their careers look like? Rick Barnes never made a Final Four. Can he do it now? He has an elite freshman, has a elite point guard with him. It's going to be awesome to see. Kelvin Sampson, he has a team that it looks like last year was going to be the year to win it. They return very, very important pieces and bring in talent around them. It might be his team to win it. Rick Pitino out at St. John's, he has his best team yet at St. John's. So they are going to be, they were preseason the number 1 team in the Big East. What will he do with that roster? John Calipari, I already mentioned. Crazy good roster, crazy good team. They're very good. Tom Izzo, what's he going to do with that roster? They bring back some of my favorite guys in their program's history. Speaking of Jackson Kohler, I love that man. Cohen Carr's back. Fear's back. Like, there's a long list of guys that are returning for him, which has been the Izzo way. What will they be able to do in this one towards the end of his career? And then Bill Self. He goes from where last year he spends the most money on a roster, doesn't succeed with it. Now he has a all-time, maybe the best player he's ever coached, freshman in Darren Peterson. What will he be able to do with that roster where he has Darren Peterson and then guys that fill the roles around him? What will he be able to do? So all those older guys in the sport are sitting here where it looks like maybe it's the end of the road for them. Let's see what it looks like for what could be, for some of them, their final year of coaching, which is sad to think about, but they're all legends, so it's going to be cool to kind of see what they can do towards the end of their career. Lastly, guards win in March. This is the year of the guard. Most of these are point guard, true points, summer combo, but nonetheless, this is the year of the guard, and guards win in March. So that's going to make this tournament very, very interesting. Donovan Nett, Braden Smith, Darren Peterson, Bennett Sturts, LeBaron Philon, Michael Brown, Tahad Pettiford, Milos Uzon, Jacoby Gillespie, PJ Haggerty, and many more that I did not name. This point guard group and guard group is unbelievably talented. Some transfer around and some have new homes, but we have no doubt how talented this group is going to be guard-wise. They're going to be amazing, and that's going to make this tournament phenomenal. I cannot wait to see what this tournament looks like with all these different pieces, with the teams that they have around them. All these guys have pretty solid teams around them, great coaches leading them on. So the year of the guard, what will that look like for the tournament? Getting into power ranking the conferences. So no particular order. I'm just going to talk about some of the teams. Some of these teams I probably won't mention, especially some towards the bottom of the conference. I'm not going to talk too much about them. Not that they don't matter, but for your sake, there's not necessary talk about some of the rosters and some of these teams and what they can do. So I'll go ahead and start with the conference that was the best last year, maybe the best in college basketball history, the SEC. We'll start this out. I have a little bit different from how it came out, especially at the top. Number 1, Kentucky. I think Kentucky's depth is second to none. I mentioned Noah's Ark, two of everything. You can't put too much stock into an exhibition, but they beat Purdue without Jalen Lowe, their starting point guard, and without Jaden Quaintance, who's probably going to go top 5 in the NBA draft. Kentucky, just the depth, I think they'll be able to wear teams out and wear them down, and that's going to be the key piece of why they end up being the number 1 team in the SEC. Florida, number 2, national champs. I'm interested to see what their guards look like compared with that front court. We'll see a 3 type of version of Alex Condon. Offensively, he's going to need to hit more threes and all of that. He'll have to play more of a wing role instead of just a forward. But they'll have Chinyelu, Handlocked, and Hauk. This team brings back so much. They're going to be elite no matter what. And third, Arkansas. These feel like the 3 that are in a tier above the rest of this conference, in my opinion. Arkansas brings back great pieces, brings in 2 elite freshmen that will be phenomenal for them. 2 front court transfers over to help them out there. Like, it's going to be an amazing team. They're super athletic. They've looked amazing in the 2 exhibitions already. But Arkansas at 3, those teams feel, like I said, in a tier above the rest of the conference. But this next tier is still very, very good. Alabama. Nate Oates has been amazing. We know what they're going to look like. They're going to score a ton. They've battled some injuries in the offseason, but I think they'll still be really, really good when it's all said and done. They have a great roster. They brought in some transfers to fill around. And then LeBaron Philon, I mean, he would have been a first-round pick. But they bring him back. Alabama's going to be very good. All the way up at 5. This one was probably the most different ranking that I've seen from mine compared to other people. Ole Miss. I am a massive fan of Chris Beard's coaching. I'm saying coaching because he's obviously got some baggage with him that I'm not going to say anyone is a fan of. Ole Miss is going to be really good because of Chris Beard. They don't have an amazing roster. They have a fine roster with good depth. They'll be really good all year. I'm excited to see what they look like because Chris Beard, I feel like he's going to be one of those dudes that some of these bigger jobs are going to regret not hiring when they should have. And he's been great in Oxford already. I expect him. They went to the Sweet 16 last year. I expect them to kind of be in that same boat where they do make another run. Auburn at 6. Todd Pettiford's back. They bring back some guys. They bring in Keyshawn Hall, who's looked good so far, the UCF transfer. They bring in transfers all around what they did bring back. I think that team's going to be amazing, talent-wise. We'll see what they can do under the first-year coach, Stephen Pearl. Tennessee at 7. You always know what Rick Barnes is going to bring, but Jacoby Gillespie and Nate Ament make this floor super high, in my opinion. Those two are going to be amazing. They bring back like Phillips. They bring back some front court pieces that will be kind of hoisted into a bigger role this year. They lose a ton off of last year, but like I said, you know what you're getting out of Rick Barnes. So I think they'll be solid. Number 8, Oklahoma. They'll be solid, but I think this is a year that Porter Moser's kind of coaching for his job a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be fired, but I think they do need to finish kind of top 8, top 9 for him to continue to be their head coach, in my opinion. I think that's kind of the situation we're finding ourselves in. They won a great exhibition game at Wisconsin, so it's a great offseason start. We'll see what they look like when the season gets here. Buckyball, Texas A&M at 9. He has a great roster. I'm excited to see what they can do. It's going to be a big-time culture shock coming from Samford, but he's a great coach nonetheless. He's part of that young group that I was referring to where we'll get to see what these young guys can do compared to this older style of coaching. I'm excited to see that. 10 Missouri, 11 Texas, 12 Mississippi State, 13 Vanderbilt, 14 LSU, 15 Georgia, 16 South Carolina. This conference is going to be very, very good. It's not going to be near as good as it was last year, but overall I expect this conference to take a step back, but still be very, very respectable. Maybe get 8 to 12 teams in the tournament this year, which would still be an incredible, conference-setting record. It wouldn't be as many as last year, but that would still be a very, very great mark to hit. My first team, all SEC. I'm going to do 5 for every conference because I want to do it how you're supposed to. I'm not putting like 10 out there because of a conference being bigger. I'm doing 5 for each conference, and that's it. Stopping at that. First, I have Josh Hubbard out of Mississippi State. He has been amazing his whole time there in Starkville. I expect him to put up big numbers and just kill it under Chris Jans for another year. Jacoby Gillespie out of Tennessee. I think he's going to be amazing. He was at times Maryland's number 1 option. Even when Derek Queen was balling, Jacoby Gillespie was still that dude on that team. And I think he's going to be he's going to make that type of impact where it's not going to be all on Nate Ament. He's going to be able to control the game and control the pace of things out there at Tennessee. Otega Oweh at 3. This one was kind of tough. I think he's going to be first team. But that team's depth, I don't know if his numbers will be great, and that's why I don't have him as my player of the year. So that's a spoiler. He will not be my player of the year. I just don't think his numbers will be good enough. He'll still put up solid numbers and be one of the best players in the country, but I just don't think he's going to have enough minutes on his game logs to be able to put up great numbers. So Josh Hubbard, Jacoby Gillespie, Otega Oweh, then Alex Condon, who I mentioned we'll have to see in kind of a new role. He's going to have to play more outside, play more as a wing type of thing, which will help him for his NBA future. I'm excited to see what he can do, but I think nonetheless he's going to be a first-team All-SEC player. And then LeBaron Philon from Alabama. Already in exhibitions, you can tell he's taken another leap where he will have the ball in his hands more, and he will control the game a lot more than he did when he was playing alongside Sears and company. So I think he's going to be an amazing player, and that's also why I have him as my player of the year in the SEC. I don't know if anybody else has picked that. I haven't seen anybody. I tried to look around just to kind of get a gauge on what people were saying. I think LeBaron Philon's going to have enough numbers. And I picked Mark Sears last year as like a national player of the year. I don't know if I submitted him as my 1, but he was up there for me because I thought he would have more numbers. This year, what he's going to have around him with Mallet, tons of elite transfers, and some guys returning. He's going to have a lot around him, but he's going to be the guy down there in T-Town. So I think he's going to do enough to be the SEC Player of the Year this year, and that's what I have as my pick. Freshman of the Year, I have Nate Ament. I considered a few others. Jasper Johnson was one that came to mind. Also, like Otega Oweh, I just don't think he's going to be able to do enough in those games. So I have Nate Ament. I think he's going to put up good numbers. He's had a slow start just from reports at Tennessee. Not that he's not going to be good. I just think he may have to adjust a little as they get things started there. Coach of the Year, I have Mark Pope. I have Kentucky number 1. They're predicted number 2. If they're number 1, I think that they'll have a great record and they'll end up killing it when it's all said and done. So they'll be really, really good all year. The injuries won't be able to bug them the way that they did last year, where the injury bug continued to strike and strike again for Kentucky, and they would lose point guards, and they're starting Travis Perry at Alabama. So I don't think that's going to be a situation that they'll have to worry about this year in Lexington, but this team is going to be phenomenal, and they'll win a lot of games. I have Mark Pope as Coach of the Year in the conference in year 2. Moving on to the Big 12, I have number 1 Houston. Like I said, this team feels like if they're ever going to do it, it's now. Last year, I picked them. I was high on them all year. They end up losing in the national championship. There is a redemption story on this team. Emmanuel Sharp is the one that had the fluky, crazy turnover at the end of the national championship where he goes up, realizes he's about to get blocked, he throws it down, and he can't pick it up again, and the game ends like that. He has that. Milos Uzan. He's going to be killing it. He's going to take a big leap this year that I don't think the country is ready for. He's going to be amazing. They bring back tons of pieces. They obviously lose Juwan Roberts. They lose LJ Cryer. They lose a few guys, but what they were able to retain and what they're bringing in is going to be a recipe for a national championship. Number 2, Texas Tech, another team that I could see win a national championship. They made a run last year. They had the crazy, crazy games in their tournament run. The Arkansas one still blows my mind. I still don't understand how they won that game. But they return a guy also like Milos that I think will take a massive leap in another year in the program will be Christian Anderson. I think he's going to be phenomenal. JT Toppin's going to be one of the best players in all of college basketball this year. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's going to be awesome. Grant McCaslin's a great coach. Miracle Mac is what John Rothstein calls him. He's going to do amazing. This team's going to be awesome. Number 3, BYU. I mentioned it, the highest paid Big 3 in all of college basketball. Hard to argue a Big 3 is better than that Big 3 with AJ, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders. That Big 3 is crazy. They're going to be really good. No more explanation. Kevin Young's a great coach. They literally run a pro-style offense, pro-style program out there in Provo. I have no doubt that they'll be really, really good this year. Iowa State at 4. Otzelberger's a phenomenal coach to bring back players. Chilovich, Lipsy, there's going to be retention. That's going to be amazing. Joshua Jefferson's going to be one of the best players in the country. They obviously lose a couple guys, but I think they'll still be very good. Kansas at 5. This one is going to be interesting because the top teams of this conference are much better than a lot of conferences. But Kansas is where I start to feel a little bit hesitant, where I'm like, this could be a different type of group. I don't know who's going to separate themselves here, but if Darren Peterson ends up being anything like we think he might be, they're going to be, at worst, the 5th best team in this conference. So I have Kansas at 5. These other ones right here are more coaching type of thing. 6, Oklahoma State. I think Steve Lutz is a great coach. They have a solid roster. They've looked pretty good from what I've seen, what I've watched of them so far this offseason. And I had them this high already just because of the respect that I have for Lutz coaching. Arizona at 7. I just am a little hesitant to see what they do and how much the freshmen are relied on for this team. They're going to be good, but it just makes me a little nervous just kind of seeing who left, who they're returning, and I think they'll still be they'll still be top 7 in the conference in my opinion, but the freshmen are going to be a lot on this team. So, number 8, Baylor. Number 9, Cincinnati. Both of those teams are different in their own ways, but both have been recently disappointing. Scott Drew continues to do his thing where he just gets one 5-star freshman. They ball out. I mean, we've already seen what VJ Edgecombe has done for the 76ers. He's been amazing. Tunde Yusufu is going to be that. They bring in Obi Agbin. They bring in a lot of good players. The complete roster overhaul, I'm excited to see what Scott Drew can do with that, but I have them 8 just because it could be great or it could flame out. I'm not completely sure. Cincinnati, they're going to be a very, very interesting team. Very interesting team. I think the guard play will be solid, but Wes Miller's they've got to win some games this year. It's going to be, iffy for him. They played a great exhibition against Michigan, so maybe that's a highlight of what we'll get to see this year. Number 10, West Virginia. Number 11, Kansas State. Number 12, Utah. Number 13, TCU. Number 14, UCF. Number 15, Colorado. Number 16, Arizona State. I think this is probably the end of Bobby Hurley. Just being honest, which is sad, but I have them last in the conference. First team All Big 12. JT Toppin. enough said. That's it. The New Mexico transfer last year, he was one of the best players in all of college basketball. He's coming back another year, very highly paid for good reason. He's going to be amazing. Darren Peterson, I've talked about him a couple different times already. I think he's going to be a exceptional player. He's going to lead this Kansas team. He has a couple guys around him, like Tiller, Council. They'll be good around him. He'll have Superman, Cole Rosario. They'll have Superman with him. But he's going to lead this team, and he is going to be the engine that makes this team go. Darren Peterson is on my first team, all Big 12. Joshua Jefferson, I mentioned for Iowa State. He's going to be a great player. He's going to be hoisted into an even bigger role than he was last year, I believe, for this team. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Milos Uzan, I mentioned, I think he's going to take a massive leap. There's a few different Houston players that I think you could argue should be on this list. I think Uzan's going to be phenomenal. He's going to take a big-time leap. So I have him on there. Richie Saunders, that one's going to be tough because BYU has a lot of good players. Similar to Otega-Owe with UK. I think he's just going to be that good that, you can't deny what he did. He'll find his way on the Big 12 list. My player of the year in the conference, Darren Peterson. I absolutely love the freshman this year. You'll get that hint as we go forward and talk about the rest of these. So, my player of the year in the conference is Darren Peterson. The freshman can win the Big 12 player of the year and also the freshman player of the year, if you couldn't guess that. I think he's going to be awesome. We've already seen a little bit in the exhibitions, but I think that's just a glimpse of what he's actually going to be. And then Coach of the Year. Similar to the SEC, I think it's just going to be the best team is going to be that good. Houston dominated last year. I think Kelvin Sampson wins Coach of the Year this year in the conference. They won the conference by 4 or 5 games last year. I think that similar thing is going to happen this year where Houston is going to be phenomenal all season long. Moving on to the Big Ten. Number 1, Purdue. It's do or die time for Matt Painter. What they have on this team is unbelievable. The depth, the talent, everything that they have. There's nothing lacking. They get to move Trey Coffin-Wren back to his natural 4 spot. Oscar Clough goes in at the 5. One of the biggest beasts in the country. South Dakota State transfer that was really good last year. Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith returned for the 4th year together. They're going to be amazing. CJ Cox, Daniel Jacobson back healthy. Omer Meyer is going to be phenomenal and win some games for Purdue, in my opinion. They're absolutely stacked. They're going to be amazing. I have them number 1 comfortably. Didn't even have to think about that one. Number 2, Michigan. Dusty May has his big man. He has Mara, Morez Johnson, and Yaxel Lindeborg. The front court is unbelievable. They bring over Elliot Cadeau, who I think is going to be exceptional too. What they have on that roster and what Dusty May is going to be able to do with it is going to be unbelievable, in my opinion. Best team that he will have coached talent-wise. I think they're going to be awesome this year. Donovan Dent will lead UCLA back. I think he was the missing piece. They returned some guys from last year. I think he's going to be a guy that will help all of Westwood get some more Z's at night. He's going to be a guy that will show up every single game, and he'll put up consistent numbers and be really, really good for that team. And he's going to be able to carry at times and just facilitate at times, whatever they're going to need him to do. So I think he's going to be awesome for him. Number 4, the Balkan experiment, Illinois. Everybody's last name ends with Ivisic. It feels like there's Stojakovic, the Ivisic brothers. There's tons of legendary European names. And then there's Kylan Boswell. He's amazing. I think they're going to have a ton of talent. That team's going to be awesome. I have no doubt that they'll be 4th best team, maybe even higher in this conference. Michigan State at 5. This is kind of an Izzo thing where I'm just like, you know what? You got to trust it. I think they're going to be awesome. Defensively, they're going to be able to hold teams. They're just going to have to score a little bit more than I think people are expecting them to offensively, but I think they'll be solid. I'll actually be going up to New York for the Champs Classic, so I'll get to see these guys in person. 6, Indiana. A complete roster overhaul. I mentioned that with Baylor. This one is as well. They have a ton of transfers that put up numbers where they were. We'll see what DeVries can do meshing them together. He also said that Tucker is now healthier than he's been in a very long time. So I'm interested to see what this team looks like because they bring in Lamar Wilkerson, they bring in Reed Bailey, like guys that filled it up at their schools. Tayton Connerway, he was player of the year in this conference. So they have the talent. I'm interested to see how it meshes. Iowa, Bennett starts. Ben McCollum's going to be phenomenal. He wins everywhere he goes. I have no doubt that they'll be up that high. Oregon at 8. Oregon at 8 and Wisconsin at 9. Those just kind of feel like you know what they are. You know what they're going to be. Oregon brings some guys back. They bring over some transfers. They're going to be solid. Shellstad's out to start the year, but I think they'll be really good. And then Wisconsin, like I said, you just kind of know who they are. They're going to be good. They won't be great, but we'll get to see what they can do. Ohio State, this is going to be an interesting year for D-Board because I think if they're bad, they have dudes. Bruce Thornton, Junie Mobley's back. Like, they have guys. If they lose with this roster, I think they're going to be a little uneasy there in Columbus. It's just my opinion. I think they might try to start to look around and maybe move on from Deebs. But I have them at 10. Washington, Maryland, Northwestern at 11, 12, 13. USC in a bounce-back year, but I don't think they'll be super good for much. But I think they'll be solid. 15, Nebraska, 16, Minnesota, 17, Penn State, and 18, Rutgers. I think this is the end of Pikel. I think it's wraps at Rutgers. So, sad to say, but I think he's about done. First team, Donovan Dent at UCLA. I said he's going to absolutely fill it up. He's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what he can do out there in Westwood. Braden Smith, also, because he is going to be phenomenal. He's going to be in the National Player of the Year race all season long. Same with Yaxel Lindeborg. He was my favorite player outside of my own team in college basketball last year at UAB. I do a college basketball fantasy league. He was my number one pick in that. I was like, this guy, and he ended up performing unbelievably well, and I think he's going to do it this year. He's already put up video game numbers in these exhibitions, and he's going to continue to do that in the season. Bennett Sturts at Iowa. I have not enjoyed watching many players more than I have in recent years than Bennett Sturts. They played very, very slow last year. He claims that Iowa this year will be playing much faster at a much higher pace. So they're going to need to do that in the Big Ten, but this conference is going to beat them up, trying to slow things down at times. So I'm interested to see how they're able to handle that. Trey Kaufman-Renn, TKR, he's going to be awesome. He goes back to his natural 4 spot, like I said. I'm excited to see what he can do for this team at that 4 spot because he's going to be able to dominate. There's going to be 4s that he's going to absolutely dominate with Big Clough taking care of the 5s, where last year he had to take care of that. Now he's going to be natural, and he's going to get tons of boards, put up points, and lead this team to another great year. My player of the year in the conference is Braden Smith. I mentioned he's going to be pushing the assist record all year long. I think he's going to be right there. I think he will break it, honestly. I'm excited to see what he can do for his 4th year. Great teammates all around him. Great roster, great depth, great coaching. One of the best offenses in the country this year. They're going to be amazing. Braden Smith, my player of the year. Freshman of the year, Trey McKinney, Michigan. He's one of the guys that I was hinting at when I said this roster is going to be the most talented that they will have in the Dusty May era. That best that he's coached so far, Trey McKinney's going to be awesome. He's going to be fun. He's going to fill it up. He's going to do all that they need him to do out there in Ann Arbor. Coach of the year, Matt Painter. This is very, very similar to Mark Pope, Kelvin Sampson. They're going to be the best team comfortably. That's why I think he will be the coach of the year in the conference. They're just going to be leading the conference the entire year and be one of the best teams in the land all season long. Moving on to the ACC. This one was an interesting conference when I was crunching all the numbers, looking through all this, because it's a comfortable top 2, and then you could argue anybody, in my opinion. I think I feel comfortable about what I have, but there's a legit, the top 6 I could see in nearly any order. Duke at 1. I think John Shire has been phenomenal. He took over for Coach K. He's going to continue to rise and be one of the best coaches in the game. Number 2, Louisville. Pat Kelsey, Revival, all of that. He brings in one of the best backcourt transfer portal things. That backcourt is unbelievable. Isaac McNeely, Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell, Michael Brown. That team is stacked. The front court doesn't look great so far in the exhibitions, but I think they're going to be great. And Louisville's going to be jumping. That fan base is hungry for it, and you can see it online and see what their fans are saying. I think Louisville can be really, really good once again. Number 3, NC State. I'm a massive fan of Will Wade. Always have been. Obviously, the LSU situation was interesting, but I've always loved him. He's a phenomenal coach, program-changing coach. And his the guys that he recruits and him fit what NC State is. It doesn't. If it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't make sense to you. It just fits to me. Like, it feels like he's supposed to be the guy that is at the school that's supposed to be the lesser school, and that's the guys that he recruits. Who he brought in, they're going to be phenomenal this year, and they're going to be right there at the top of the conference all year, in my opinion. Number 4, North Carolina. This is a prove it year for Hubert Davis. I think he's going to have to do something. He has some talent. He has some guys. They looked good in the exhibition against BYU so far, so I think he's going to be okay. He's going to have to take a next step, or they're going to be firing him, moving on. But as you can tell, I think they will be good. I have them up to 4 in the conference. Number 5, Virginia Tech. This team, because of one man, Neoklis Avdolas, I think is how you say it. The Greek man, I think, will lead this team. He's technically a freshman. He's got some pro experience out there. But he's going to be amazing. Blacksburg is going to have a guy this year that will be fun to watch, and they'll be able to enjoy watching him play. I think he's going to be awesome, and I think he's going to carry this team all the way up to where I have them 5th in the conference. Following Virginia Tech at 6, I have Virginia. 6th in the conference. I think they're going to be good. It's an interesting situation dealing with where Tony Bennett retires last minute. Feels like similar to how Bruce Pearl did it, where it was late, forces somebody into the job. Now they're with Odom, and I think they're going to be awesome. They have tons of transfers. It's a complete overhaul of the roster, which most of them are when it's a first-year coach, but I think they're going to be great. Virginia at 6, Clemson at 7, Notre Dame at 8, Miami at 9, SMU at 10. Like I said, the top 6 feels like it's in a different class because the rosters on those teams, Miami under Jay Lucas, we'll see what it looks like. Pierre might end up being a one-man show at SMU. Notre Dame's going to be solid. I like Shrewsbury, but it's kind of a do-or-die year with him too. So I feel like those top 6, Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, NC State, Louisville, and Duke, I think that's going to be the class of the ACC. And I think all those teams could honestly make the tournament, and I would not be shocked if that ends up being the case. At 11, Syracuse, 12, Florida State. Florida State's going to run this year, man. They are going to put up points. They're going to be fun to watch. 13, Wake Forest, 14, Georgia Tech, 15, California. 16, Pittsburgh, 17, Stanford, and 18, Boston College. Moving on to the first team. Cameron Boozer, he has put up literally video game numbers so far in these exhibitions, and they haven't been the easiest. They've done UCF and at Tennessee, and he has balled out. He is phenomenal. I personally hate that he's at Duke. It sucks that he is at Duke, but I think he's going to be phenomenal all year. Another freshman I think is going to be great, Michael Brown. He's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be him and Ryan Conwell who get the shots at Louisville, and they'll both be sharing the rock, putting up great numbers. Michael had a rough exhibition debut, but he bounced back. They're both going to put up great numbers, Ryan Conwell and Michael Brown. So Ryan Conwell I also have on the first team. Both those guys are going to be great for Louisville this year. They'll be leading that team. Darian Williams, who was called D5, now he's Uno at NC State. He's going to be their best player by far, but he has talent around him. I think they're going to win a whole lot of games, and I think he's going to put up great numbers. He's on my first team. And then Neoklis Avdolas, who I brought up for Virginia Tech. There's a lot of different guys that I thought about putting in this spot, but I think he just needs to shine because he's going to be a great player for Virginia Tech. Go look up his highlights before the season starts. Tell all your friends you knew about this guy before he pops off. My player of the year, Cameron Boozer, also freshman of the year. So, similar to the Big 12 where I had it, Darren Peterson, this is Cam Boozer. I think he's going to be awesome. And I think John Shire, they're the first ranked team. They're going to be one of the best teams in the land. Maybe a national title push. They're returning some guys. They're going to be elite all year long. They have elite freshmen, have great returners that didn't play a ton last year, but they're hoisted into a new role where they'll play a whole lot more. And I have all the trust in the world that they'll end up being very, very good. So, I have John Shire as my coach of the year. Big East. St. John's, number 1. Rick Pitino's most talented team in a long time. I think they're going to be phenomenal. UConn at 2. I think Dan Hurley has a bounce back year. I do think St. John's, I give them the slight edge, even though I think UConn's going to be literally a national title contender when it's all said and done. I think St. John's probably has just the veteran pieces. I know UConn definitely has veteran pieces too, so it's not like I'm arguing those against each other. But St. John's, what they're bringing in, it's veteran pieces from different schools, but I think Rick Pitino's the best coach maybe ever. I think he's going to kill it. So I think St. John's will be 1, UConn 2. Creighton at 3, tons of transfers there. They're going to be right back in the mix. I have no doubt. Marquette at 4. Shaka Smart says this team is absolutely going to run. Big part of that is going to be Chase Ross. He's returning. He's kind of filling in like the Cam Jones role, where Cam Jones, I feel like, was there for a minute. He fills into that role, and it was Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones. Now it's Chase Ross. That's kind of been the lead guard for the last few years. Georgetown at 5, super physical team, good depth. It's going to be Ed Cooley's definitely best team since he's been at Georgetown. I think they're going to be solid. 6, Villanova, 7, Xavier, 8, Providence, 9, Butler, 10, Seton Hall, and 11, DePaul. I think this conference is going to be awesome. They're going to be DePaul at 11 was tough to put because I think DePaul actually has a chance to be all right this year. But that conference was just tough to list. I think it's going to be a solid conference overall. First team Big East, Solo Ball and Alex Carabin are the UConn fellows that I put on there. They're both going to be really good. They were good last year. Here they are again. They're going to be right there in the mix. Bryce Hopkins, St. John's. I think he's going to be awesome. He was really good at Providence when he was playing. He's battled injuries through his career, but I think he will have a healthy year. I think he'll have a great season. Zuby Ejiofor, St. John's, such a beast. He's been there for a few years. I think he's going to be awesome. And then Chase Ross at Marquette. Another guy that's been in the program. He's been there 3 years. He's been a solid player. Even when he didn't start early on, he's been solid his whole career. I think he's going to take a big leap. My player of the year in the conference, Bryce Hopkins, out of St. John's. I think he's going to be amazing. He's playing, like I said, for maybe one of the best coaches of all time. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to have talent around him. He's going to be able to put up assist numbers, points, rebounds, all this stuff. Super physical player. He's going to be awesome. Freshman of the year, Braylon Mullins for UConn. This is the 3rd straight year that a UConn freshman has been the preseason player of the year, or preseason freshman of the year. It's kind of a wagon. He's going to end up filling a role that Liam McNeely left. He's going to fill it right in. Coach of the year, Rick Pitino. St. John's is going to be awesome. Like I said, I think they're going to be amazing. So, Ricky P winning it. Slick Rick wins Coach of the Year for me. Moving on to some national talk. I'm not going to do a overall first team, but you can kind of get a gist. If I did one, it'd probably be Braden Smith, Donovan Dent, Otega Owe, I would say. Maybe. And then JT Toppin's definitely on there. Then Cam Boozer. That would be maybe what I would throw together. But I sat down and I tried to make a few different teams, but I just don't know. There's so many guys, it'd be tough to limit it to 5, and I said I was going to do it to 5. So instead of doing that, I just did my first teams for each conference. So that's how I did it. But my player of the year and coach of the year, I have those, and I have my Final Four teams and champion. So starting with my coach of the year, I think it's going to be Kelvin Sampson. Out there at Houston, I've said it multiple times. If they're going to win a national championship, it feels like this is the year. Kelvin Sampson is phenomenal. You know what you're getting out of him. You're getting an elite defense, and they have offensive weapons this year that I think will be able to carry the load. They'll be super, super fun to watch for a diehard basketball fan like I am, where you'll get to watch and see what he can mold these guys into, and he'll have some freshmen playing that are super talented, and Chris Senack and a few other guys that are coming in. They'll be really good all year. I have him as the coach of the year. My college basketball player of the year, the Wooden Award winner, all that good stuff. This one took me forever to figure out who I was going to do. I went through waves where I was like, I'm going to go with this guy. I'm not going to go with that guy. I'm going with this guy. I'm going with this guy. This was extremely hard for me to pick, which is a testament to how good this year is going to be. There are so many good players across the sport, so many good seniors, so many good veteran leaders. There's so many freshmen that are going to be amazing all year. I ended up landing on, and it hurts my heart, Cameron Boozer out of Duke. I believe that he is going to lead that Duke front court. Duke front court is not super deep. It's not a great front court. He's going to be the leader of that group. He's going to get so many boards, so many assists. He's going to go to the foul line a lot. He's going to hit the free throws. He's going to be a physical beast. And the dude is just a winner. He barely lost ever in high school. He just knows how to win games. And if they're sitting there looking at, 28-3, they play a tough schedule, so it probably won't be 28-3. But if they're sitting there 25-6, and he's averaging 18 and 12 with 5 or 6 assists, you cannot tell me he's not going to be right there in the mix for National Player of the Year, if not winning it. Obviously, those numbers would be crazy, but I could see a world where he averages that. Cameron Boozer's my Player of the Year. With that being said, I do think they'll be very good, but that's because, like I said with the ACC, I think there will be a strong top 6, but after that, it's not going to be great. I think Duke will end up losing in the tournament. They won't win the national championship. My final 4 teams, now this is very tough because obviously all 4 of these teams could end up being in the same region. But not saying these will be the 1 seeds. These are just the teams that I think are built to win in March. They have good guard play. They have depth. They have all that you need. BYU, I think Kevin Young in year 2 goes to the Final Four with that team from Provo that is absolutely electric. The offense is going to be great. As always, the defense is going to be great. They return the right guys, and they're going to be phenomenal all year. Also a year 2 coach, I have Kentucky going. Mark Pope has done a phenomenal job. They bring over tons of assistant coaches from different schools that fill in these different roles. And I think this team is definitely on the verge of being able to win number 9. This team is super, super deep. They have a little bit of everything. Team's going to be amazing. I have Kentucky going. So year 2 coaches going in their second year at the program. It's going to be amazing. As my 3rd team, Purdue. I mentioned they are crazy in the state of Indiana, and they are definitely dying to get there. This is where it all culminates into one thing. Matt Painter has had these boys for a while now. These guys, a few of these guys, TKR, Fletcher Warrior, Braden Smith, these guys have played in the national championship. They know what it takes to get there. I'm very confident that these guys can lead this group and get back to it. I have them in the Final Four. And then my national champion, a team that I've loved for years, and I love the roster. I love this squad, love the coach, love the coaching staff, love everything about this program. I would love to get to a practice sometime. This is one of the teams that in the country I would love to go see practice. I've loved this team for years. I picked them last year. Throughout the year, I was like their biggest advocate. It felt like I love this team. I love what they brought back. I have Houston winning the national title, going to the Final Four, winning it, and I don't know who they'll beat because, like I said, these 4 could end up being in the same mix. They could end up being in the same region. So they may not be the Final Four, but those are my top 4 that I expect to make runs in the tournament. Houston, they beat Purdue last year. They go to the national championship. They were unbelievable all season long. They return some of their best players from last year. They lose a couple guys. They lose Roberts and LJ Cryer, like I mentioned, but they bring back a super, super deep team, a super disciplined team, a team that knows what it takes. They have the redemption story, like I said. I think they win the national championship in 2026 in Indianapolis. I cannot wait for this season. If you couldn't gather it from this, I tried not to make it too obvious, but if you're new to the channel and you're maybe just a new subscriber and you're getting here for college basketball season, I'm a Kentucky fan. I know you probably can't tell super well. I have Kentucky stuff in the back, but there's like Texas stuff, there's Tennessee stuff, there's all kinds of stuff. But I'm a Kentucky fan. I would love, I try to do this as unbiased as possible. Going into this, looking through all these, and I mean, I think I made that pretty obvious that I'm doing this unbiased as possible because I have Cam Boozer as my Player of the Year. Don't want to see that. I have Louisville as the second best team in the ACC. I have 2 Louisville players on their ACC freshman team, or ACC first team. So I did this as unbiased as I could. But if you are new to the channel, welcome. Thank you very much for finding the channel. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. I have a ton of social media accounts out there to go follow that will be up to date all year long, following the college basketball season. It's the Jump Sports on everything. Just type that in. If you're on Instagram, the Jump Sports _ is how you'll find that one. So I'm going to be here all season long. I don't know what the exact schedule will be like. I'll figure that out as the season goes along. I can't wait for it. For college football, I would do it on Wednesdays and then Saturday night recaps. I'll probably figure out a way to get 2 videos of a week. But if you love college basketball, this is the place to be. I absolutely love this sport. I'm hoping to gain some subscribers, gain some more people that are interested in the sport, so I can see comments and different thoughts of what people are seeing from their perspective throughout the year. The season's right around the corner. Like I said, it's this Monday, November 3rd. We're right here. I can't wait for it. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. If you want to stay up to date, turn on the post notifications, all the good stuff. There will be college basketball content, and there will be college football content if you're into that. There will be a little bit of that as the season winds down, but there will be college basketball content all year long. Can't wait for it. Join me for the ride. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.